So I decided I haven't done a video for so long regarding the new moon. So I thought this was a really timely time to do that. And also just to talk about the equinox that's happening tomorrow. And also just to help put it in a bit of context of what's going sort of on out there at the moment. And I think the phrase that sort of comes into my head quite a lot is it was the best of times, it's the worst of times. I can't remember what's that beginning of a story for, but in many ways it's the best of times. If we think what's going on with our environment, we can already see like the massive changes that have happened in a really short amount of time. We can see that communities are coming together, compassion, kindness, caring for our elderly. Um, there's a lot to be grateful for. And the worst of times, you know, being in that great unknown, being in this point of limbo, of not knowing when this scenario is going to change, when we're going to get back that familiarity, I guess, in some ways. And that can be quite challenging navigating, especially as we find our kind of like our new reality, our new normal. I know for myself yesterday, I really had a tough time. I mean, I'm not someone that cries very often, but yesterday I was really wobbly and the tears were pouring. It didn't take much. It could have just been an act of kindness that I was watching or an unkindness that I was watching. And I just realized that I was just grieving. I was grieving for the familiar world that I felt in many ways I was losing. And even though on many levels I knew that this world that I was grieving a lot yesterday was in many ways toxic. We only have to look at the suicide rates, we have to look at, the mental health issues that were going on, the sickness in our children. The world that we were living in was unsustainable. It was, it wasn't, it was just fast. And I'm trying to find the word really. It was just, in many ways it was stagnant. And I think we all knew, the awareness with the climate change that was coming that, things had to shift. So even though I knew that what I was grieving for wasn't great, I was grieving for that almost that sense of safety. So I just let myself have these tears. It was quite uncomfortable. And then I slept loads. And I woke up this morning and I felt much better. And I do think that we really need to allow ourselves to feel the grief, because if we're not allowing it to come out naturally, that's when we can start projecting. And I think we can just really see a lot of that projection. We only have to lift up the veil of social media. And for me, it's a bit like Dante's Inferno. It's just like, oh my goodness, I just might have to close that down for the time being. But there is, there is a chance for us to almost like um, choose how we want to be in it. So on Friday, that's tomorrow, goodness, how the week flies, we've got our spring equinox. And this is a time for new beginnings. This is almost like the new year for us. So it's not like the 1st of January, but for me, I've always seen the spring equinox because it means we're moving into a whole new energy. We're moving into spring. It's very much the Aries energy, the warrior, the kind of the pioneer. And then that's closely followed by on Monday, which is a new moon in Aries. So even though there is a sense at the moment of uncertainty, and finding our feet, really, just know that actually there's a lot to feel grateful for. There's this new shift going, moving into spring. There's more light around. There's more ways to navigate these uncertain times. And with this new moon in Aries, let's think what the Aries energy is all about. Aries is all about brave, courageous, doing things differently, seeing things differently. So it's a real chance for us to tap into this wonderful energy and put it to use in this new reality that we have around us. Whether we are self-isolating at home or whether, we're not. I guess we're all going to be, have limited on some ways, but we can pour all this energy into visioning a new future. This is the beginning of a new cycle. How do we want it to look? What part do we want to play? And yes, allow your grief that it's not perhaps what you wanted right now. There is a lot of fear out there, but if we can almost take that fear, put it to the side, and just tap into who you are. Tap into your wisest self and say, okay, things are different now. How do I want to show up? What is this calling out in me? Because this is an exciting time for humanity. Yes, it's unknown, but there's so much that we can do that can make such a difference for ourselves and also all our generations that come after us.